Hi, I'm Harshita Vishwe.
And I'm Tudor-Valentin. And welcome to The Third Eye. We'd like to issue a Happy New Year. It's 2020 now.
And we are having the first episode of the new year, where we are going to know more about the immigrants in Aalborg from the project coordinator of the International House in North Denmark, Miguel Oliveira, where he works with the internationalization and for the international community.
Miguel is a young, professional, and energetic person who has been living in Denmark for the past 10 years. He's also been a radio jockey for Aalborg University's radio show for about 3 years.
So let's invite Miguel.
Yeah.
Hi Miguel, welcome to the Third Eye.
Hi, hello guys.
Yeah.
I'm really proud to be here in your little podcast.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. It's a lovely Tuesday.
Yeah.
We can see here the sun is shining to some extent in the skies of Aalborg.
Yeah.
Blue skies, some light, so that makes me really happy, to be honest. It's a good day today.
It's a good day.
Yeah, the sun is so rare in this city. It's amazing.
Although it's a little bit windy.
Yeah.
I can feel it's a little bit windy, but still we're in January, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's
not
Denmark, right?
It's a nice surprise for January. It's a new year.
Yeah.
It's a new sun.
And it's amazing to be here also with you guys, being able to record this small interview with you guys. So, being a radio lover, as you mentioned, radio passionate, I'm really happy to have this opportunity.
So, you have achieved a lot within a short span of time in Denmark. We would like to know more about you before moving here. Like, what made you come to Denmark, specifically Aalborg?
Well, I usually always get asked this question from some of the people I meet, or also other internationals who are thinking of Denmark to study.
A lot of the time, a lot of the questions when you meet with new international people, we just all go in a circle asking each other, where are you from?
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
And why Aalborg?
And why are you here? What made you come here? And I can tell you that my story is also a little bit, it's peculiar. It's a peculiar story.
That's what we're here for.
But very shortly, I can tell you that I had no plan whatsoever to come to Denmark at the point of my higher education studies. So basically, I'm growing up in my Portuguese house, South Portugal, with my family, and I was ready to go to a university in Portugal to study hospitality management in one of the best hospitality schools in the world. That was what I really wanted to work with: restaurants, hotels, the service industry. And luckily, or interestingly, I have a really nice grandma. She's from Poland, and she's really good with the technology and internet. So
and she's a grandmother.
She's my grandma.
That's strange.
That's fantastic.
She's now 80 plus, and she still navigates really nice with the Skype. And so back in the days, she was also quite relevant for me because she was surfing on the internet, as we all do, and she found a little banner somewhere on the website, an advertisement banner from Study in Denmark, saying just come study in Denmark. And she clicks on it and she starts reading that there's free tuition fees in Denmark. There's different education.
That's the first thing the Eastern European's gonna see.
Well, also Portuguese and Polish for that matter. Yeah, but that was clearly quite interesting for my grandma. And she's, hey Miguel, just have see this link here. Just have a read.
Yeah.
They say here that they also have this education, hospitality management, and it's for free. It's in Denmark. The Danish are quite in the leading forefront of technology, and they are a really interesting society. They're organized. Grandma, what are you talking about? I mean, I don't want to miss all my friends here. I don't want to lose all my connection with my region here. I'm now for sure going to go study here in Lisbon. Just find out, just maybe get in contact with them and find out more information about it.
Yeah.
And then I did, took the time to just call them, write some emails back and forth. And I found out that it was quite an interesting program they had for this hospitality management course at UCN. Very soon after, 1 week afterwards, I apparently received an acceptance letter from UCN saying that they expect me here in 1 week time in the end of August.
Oh God, it happened to me too.
Yeah. And so I had that. I just had in 1 week, I had to prepare everything, a luggage with 20 kilos, and then I came to Denmark.
Yeah.
So basically, it was quite an exciting end of August, September month for me, where everything was new and I was totally excited with the new things Denmark was offering me. So I landed in Aalborg, and that's how everything started. Yeah.
How was your first time landing in Aalborg? Like, how did you feel after coming from...
On a scale of 1 to 10, how terrified were you?
Maybe I was on a 2-3 level.
Oh, wow, that's impressive.
I lost a plane. I remember this very well. There was something wrong with the plane from Copenhagen to Aalborg. Because I arrived from Lisbon to Copenhagen, and then I would need to take another plane from Copenhagen to Aalborg. Something happened. I missed the airplane. Something got wrong there, and the person who was going to pick me up, he actually told me, okay, now I will only be able to pick you up later on, a couple of hours later. So when I arrived at Aalborg airport, it was dark, it was evening, there was nobody at the airport, small airport, and I was quite confused on, okay, what am I doing here now? I'm waiting for somebody who I don't know who is it, and I'm waiting for somebody to take me to a place I don't know where.
Yeah. Did you find the accommodation from a friend or?
No, we were supposed to be, and we were actually, we got accommodated at, back then it was called Den Hostel. Yeah. It was a little hostel with some huts where we are actually...
Is it the one by the pier? Wait, not by the pier, the one that's like in a
by the marine, yeah, in Aalborg East, actually, yeah. Depends where you look from, but in Den Hostel, this the beach houses, the small beach houses.
I lived there for like 15 days.
Yeah. Well, we ended up there for 1 month and a half or something.
Yeah.
And it was quite impressive because it was we all together were there, international students, UCN students, quite excited with everything. So we were still in this honeymoon phase of our trip. We were excited, cooking together, getting to know Aalborg, traveling by bus to school, to Sofindelsvej, which was in the other side of the city.
Yeah.
So that was quite interesting. And for the first month, I would say it was really good to be there. To live together in these small huts, get to know each other, be a part of something. And then we found the opportunity to move into what's it called? No, UC House. We found the opportunity to move to UC House, where it was the newly established student accommodation in city, in the south of the city.
But is this accommodation provided by UCN or you approach certain community like student housing or AKU?
No, back in the days it was UCN that organized this. I remember that they were already then thinking quite hard on this challenges of their students.
Yeah, international students.
We don't have relevant accommodation or temporary accommodation, at least for our international students.
Yeah.
So I remember they made a partnership with this student accommodation that was quite new, and the UCN students got some sort of a priority, or at least we got offered first to be there. We were quite excited, and UC House, maybe for those of you who are listening right now, maybe you're living right there. At the moment, I know there's no such dynamism, so to say. Maybe it's a little bit quiet nowadays at UC House, but back when we moved in, that place looked quite differently. There was parties every day. We were cooking all together. There was a lot of life in that student accommodation.
Yeah, it's been a decade now.
Yeah, it's been a decade.
Your experience was really good when you came here for the first time. Also, that you have produced a lot of music, radio shows, and you have been radio jockey, DJ, for 3 years at Aalborg University, Aalborg radio station, right?
It's called Aalborg Student Radio.
Aalborg Student Radio, yes.
Which was a part of Aalborg University.
So, as a jockey, did you know any story or incident that stands out, which you would like to discuss with us? Because I think at that time it was the only English radio show, as you have mentioned earlier. Yeah. So, any challenges that you faced?
Yeah, well, it's a very dear topic for me here. The radio, the student radio, and as you said, it's correct. It was the only English-speaking radio we had here in Aalborg, or in the region for that matter. So that was as a music lover. Music producer as well. I was quite lucky to hang out with the right people, I would say.
Yeah.
Back when I was studying, because some of my colleagues which shared the same interests, they found the radio actually.
Mm.
Back then, the radio was located at the student house,
Yeah.
the top floor.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
And I was introduced to the radio by them. So big shout out here to Robert and Valdemar. So these times were actually quite interesting because we were quite new in the city,
Uh-huh.
but we were quite active. So we were having our school, university to attend, study jobs, and then on top of it, we actually found something to do, to actively do
Yeah.
with our time.
But was it easy to actually start an English radio show, which
Well,
is the only show in English?
The radio existed there, but it was not much active.
Okay.
We can put it that way. And until then, there was some radio shows, but they were all in Danish.
Yeah.
So what we've done, we basically just started using the equipment that was in the radio
Mhm.
to do our own shows. And slowly I became also quite interested in the whole structure of a radio. I've become really interested in organizing and setting up the radio, creating interviews, planning podcasts like
Yeah.
you guys are doing right now,
Mhm.
inviting artists. And I had a show every Friday called Morning
Lemon. Yeah.
to tell our international students or international citizens about what's coming in the weekend here.
Mhm.
So I would tell the relevant news in English, tell about the relevant upcoming events, and having maybe some interviews from time to time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say it was difficult because when you're passionate for something, when you're interested for something, you'll learn your way out and you'll just have fun by doing it. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't say
Yeah.
it was difficult.
So, as a UCN student, how did you manage to land like a position at Aalborg University Radio?
Back in the days, the radio was just open. The radio was using.
Did you get any glares from
Yeah?
Aalborg University
No,
students?
not at all. Not at all. The only reason why Aalborg Student Radio is considered being a radio from Aalborg University is because they were using Aalborg University's facilities.
Mhm.
Close to the international staff or international accommodation office, something
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah.
But the radio, in fact, is an independent radio, which was funded by the Danish government
Oh.
and not by the universities at all. So it doesn't matter if you're from UCN or if you're from Aalborg University, you're more than welcome to be a part of the radio.
Yeah.
In fact, that was something that we valued, the diversity of the
Yeah.
radio. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually good.
Yeah. Did this job introduce you to a lot of Danish music?
Oh, not at all.
Oh.
Not at all. We were in this international bubble. You
Oh.
see, like me, a Portuguese guy, with some Lithuanians, with some Estonians, maybe some Latvians,
Oh,
Some Polish
my roommate's
guys.
Latvian.
also some Romanians and Bulgarians. So we were actually just enjoying the music we enjoyed back in those study years, right?
Did you
Yeah.
play any Romanian music?
Sometimes, and also Chalga music from Bulgaria as
Oh.
well.
God,
Yeah.
I'm just imagining
Yeah.
Romanian rap over radio in
Yeah.
Denmark. I die.
Sometimes,
Oh.
sometimes we would have that. I can tell you a funny story about this. Actually, we back in the days we were quite a lot into funk and disco music, which was actually something not really popular back in the days.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And we used to have a show focused on the disco music Fridays evenings. But also as a disc jockey, I used to select a lot of disco music, funk
Yeah.
music, and there was not many people interested on that type of music back in the days. But it's interesting to see nowadays how it changed, and how every new production coming out there comes with some funk or disco elements.
Yeah.
It's in
And,
a sort of revival period now, especially
so-
with like movements that kind of look back on music before and like sort of resample it into new shapes.
And also groove-wise, they can see what worked actually, what
Yeah.
people were dancing to back in the days, and they want to get this feeling back again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, we were having quite a lot of fun for ourselves with the music we were listening at the time, and we were not that much interested in learning about the Danish music. But of course, from time to time, we would have a Danish member, a new Danish member in the radio, and he or she would actually just tell us a little bit about the new upcoming artists,
Mhm.
Rasmus Seebach, and things like that. new upcoming Danish artists.
Yeah.
Why don't we play them? And then we just explain them. Yeah, but we're here to talk on the radio.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to play music, but that was just a funny story there.
Yeah. So you've been working at International House for like 4 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why did you decide to work here? What drew you to the International House?
Let me just, before I explain you also that being part of the radio maybe didn't open me many doors, but it actually made me aware of our international community here in Aalborg, and made me also meet some very proactive and interesting people. So I would say that being quite active in this civil society, not only at the radio, but other sports clubs and other organizations, like Platform for, sometimes at Student House, that made me actually interested, among others, in the topic of internationalization. So what are we doing together, both us internationals in Denmark and the Danish society in Denmark? What are we doing to make this, to break the gap here between both identities, between both societies? What are our universities doing to help us international students while we are studying here?
Was there an incident or something like that which made you realize the situation, which made you realize that there is a gap between the two communities or the two societies, and we need to bridge that gap?
Well, I wouldn't say there was a specific situation, but I think it was my interest for this multiculturalism and internationalization that made me actually see that, there's some potential here. We actually became quite active at giving some suggestions at our university so that they would implement some specific programs or activities to help us. And that, among other experiences, that made me actually create this profile where I was not only interested in this multicultural phenomena, but also having some experience and know-how and some contacts within this international community.
Yeah.
Having this knowledge, having this sensibility or sensitivity towards these potential challenges. I was introduced to this project called the International House, not Denmark, that was just starting back in the days. And it happened to be so that I was perhaps the right person at the right time, at the right place, because I was just finishing my university studies.
Yeah.
Having quite a relevant education for the work we are doing here in the house.
Yeah.
And having also some interest and some experience within the field. So that's how I pretty much ended up here at the International House as a project coordinator. To be honest, I can also say quite proudly that I myself, I could be seen as a good example from our universities and also the municipality itself as a good example of a student who came here to study and then successfully got a job, and nowadays is actually helping the other international students and citizens coming here to the region.
So how your experience has been? I think it's been 4 years that you have been working here. Mm-hmm. How was your experience? Was it easy, or how were your colleagues? Are they all internationals like you, or they are Danish people, and then you have to communicate with them? And also, a lot of languages, around 5 or 6. Yeah. So how easy was it to learn Danish and communicate, get the hang of it?
Yeah, I'll start with the second question, and because definitely the part of the languages really help. I do speak, of course, I'm a native speaker in Portuguese, Polish. I speak also fluently in English, now in Danish. Bulgarian I also speak.
How long did it take you to learn Danish?
Yeah, it's a process. It took me. I'm still learning. I do say I speak fluently, but in fact, my accent is quite good. But I'm always trying to learn with my work colleagues and my friends. Because there's always some grammatics. There's always some words you're learning every day. Yeah. But it took me quite a while. I would say maybe 3-4 years to actually get into the shape where I'm now. But I would say that the languages play an important part on my role nowadays. Not only because being an international myself, many of the international students we work with, or the expats who come from abroad, they can themselves identify with me, which makes it easier for us to actually to communicate.
Yeah.
So in that matter, if I find a Polish expat, or a Polish student for that matter, and he needs help, then I can just convey my expertise, my information in Polish, which makes it way easier, breaks many gaps, and makes it much more personal.
It actually builds the trust among the two.
It develops trust, exactly.
Yeah,
it develops trust, and it's service-wise, it's also quite good, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're having somebody assist you in a foreign country, and that somebody speaks your language.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite unique.
And comforting also as well.
So I would say that that makes my job way easier and also more exciting, because then with the help of languages, you also get to be much more open sometimes and meet new people who you wouldn't speak otherwise if you wouldn't know the languages, for example.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, I'm learning still every day with my work colleagues, with other people who teach me in English, who teach me in Danish, by watching television, for example, hearing quite a lot of radio, reading newspapers, printed newspapers. And of course, here in the house, we do work with some internationals. At the moment, we have actually we have some interns who also are international, but most of our colleagues in the international house are Danish actually. So that's really good to have a couple of known Danish professionals, or at least people who are working here at the international house. It's also very representative for our international community.
Definitely. We need to present the diversity that the international house contains. The international house is only Danes, then it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly. So that's also quite an important part.
So how was your experience working in the international house? Was it challenging or easy, or you enjoyed it a lot?
No, I enjoyed it quite a lot. Everybody took me really well here in the municipality.
Yeah.
Especially here in Business Aalborg. And of course at the international house itself, where we had the opportunity to build a lot of things from scratch. And that I'm quite proud of and also quite happy with. Not only it's really nice to come every day and work with people who actually love helping the others, and both the companies who are interested in becoming more international or internationally minded, and also with citizens who need our help, our public help.
What sort of citizens need your public help?
Say again?
What sort of citizens need your public help?
All the international citizens need our help, if I would be honest with you. From the international student who might struggle to get a student job or struggles to get a full-time job after graduation, to a spouse of an expat who comes with his relevant wife or man to start a new life in Aalborg. That person might also need a lot of information or a network, inspirations to find a job. It can also be an expat himself who should decided to get a job, or he got a job in a big multinational company in Aalborg, and then he actually has challenges in creating a network, or he cannot make a lot of friendships outside of his work bubble.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we here in the International House, being this one-stop shop for all the international citizens, can play a very important role for all the internationals. Not only by helping with their job search, for example, but also helping them with opening a company. But perhaps the most important is with information about cultural issues, leisure opportunities, relevant information about their own diaspora.
So, for any international student, how easy it would be to communicate with international house, or is it easily available? Or if I have, as an international student, if I have any problem or if I'm facing some issues, so should I just directly come to international house? And I don't think it works that way. Really?
Well, you're totally right on that. We are open public office. We have this physical house. We are in it right now.
Yeah. just right next to Aalborg Commune.
Yeah, I can confirm this house is real and I'm in it.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyone can come here with any problem or any issues regarding jobs or...
Yes and no. The way we work is basically we have an opening hours for this for this public office where we actually where we sit the International House administration, International House secretariat. So we have in place actually from April this year. Actually, there was a new feature in this house that made it even more complete or even more successful as a one-stop shop for all internationals. There was that both the International Citizen Service or the International Citizen Service was actually moved from another building to the International House. Okay. So that means that no matter where you come from, no matter what did you come to do in North Denmark, you need to come to Aalborg, here to the International House, to make your registration papers, get your CPR number, and then you can get to hear our offers or the way we can support the international citizens.
Yeah. So can you just give an example of 2-3 ways in which, what are the ways that you can support?
Very good question. So here, for example, if a citizen comes in from the street, opens the door, and comes upstairs and meets us, then depending on our availability and how does the agenda look like, but usually we are able to meet that person if that person has a specific question about a specific issue. Then we try to help that person immediately, or we can actually guide them to the right place where they will get the right help. But we are in the position of being able to help that person, maybe not at the exact moment, immediately, but we can also maybe book a meeting for later on and try to find actually the best suitable time for us to meet and to try to help that person.
Yeah.
So then on top of it, we also do a lot of, we have in a large extent, a lot of information on our website and on our social media. So maybe people don't come to the International House, but they will be aware of relevant events and relevant information through our posts and information that we provide on our public social media.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, we also have some specific programs. I can mention some of them. For example, the expat host program, which, as the name implies, is a host program, sort of like a mentoring program where we match a Dane with an international citizen. It can also be an international citizen with a citizen like myself, also an international citizen, but with way more experience or way more familiarity with the ongoing Danish challenges, opportunities. So we can actually match these two groups of people together. Contribute to a better integration to making sure that the international citizens expand their network, for example. Yeah,
that's actually a very good project which you are doing. And it's good that a lot of people who don't know about it now knows about it. So now they can actually go to the International House website and can look at all the programs and policies that are upcoming, and if that interests them, they can actually join them. It's very easy, and if they have any queries, they can just directly contact you.
That's right.
Like the house, they can just directly come here during the opening hours. It's open for everyone.
Yeah. And speaking of upcoming projects, are there any you like to mention?
Well, not necessarily. Maybe we can change this. Into the project or policies. That's important. If you could mention that again.
Sorry. Speaking of projects, Speaking of projects, are there any projects or policies that are upcoming that you'd like to mention?
You mean like policies, projects that would be relevant for internationals? I think that here in the house we're very much interested now in perhaps I could mention two things. But the first one is in the fact that there's a lot of potential in our international profiles, in our international students, in our international graduates. Here from our local universities, and I think that we need to be better to communicate that to our local companies. So I
think there has been a gap between the graduates, international graduates, and the companies. So a lot of international students have been leaving the country just after the graduating.
Yeah.
So I think that International House can play a major role in bridging that gap.
I believe so too. I'm also quite well aware of the many very good, very positive experiences and stories we had of international students getting a job in a local company and contributing for boosting the export revenue from that company, or helping different companies penetrating new markets. But I still think that there's big potential hidden in these profiles, in our international profiles. And I think that now it's the time where companies starts actually learning from one another and starting to see how can we use them. And I think it's going to be quite popular in the next coming months, years, that we will see more and more programs and activities targeted towards these here. I would also mention that you mentioned already this it's okay. I was about to mention the language the new language rules by the government, but that's a different story. You already covered that, and it's not ours.
We also covered the final question already.
How do you think migrants can utilize the best resources?
Just look on the website and just come. That's really. Suppose it's over then.
But I think also, if I could just add to that the upcoming projects. We always have here some activities in the house that are open to everybody, and I think that now we had some really good experiences in this very small project we're running called the Staircase Artwork. The Staircase Artwork project, which is basically giving the opportunity to international artists to exhibit their artwork in our staircase here, leading to the main offices at International House. We met with some international artists, and they asked us if we could help them finding relevant places to exhibit the artwork, because there was a challenge into having a permission to exhibit in a gallery. So then we thought, okay, maybe we can actually make a small project out of this opportunity and collect some stories of our international artists living in the region, and giving them the opportunity to
present their work,
present their work for 1 month. And that's what we've been doing for many months now.
That's
we
really
have a
good.
couple of stories.
I saw some paintings while coming up. It's really interesting.
So I make this call for all our listeners. If you are close by during working hours here at the International House, you're more than welcome to come in and see the exhibition. Maybe say hello to us upstairs in the main floor. And see what are the different offers you can meet here at the International House.
Definitely.
I actually do graphic design, so this would be interesting for me.
Okay. Exactly.
So on that note, then, I'd like to thank you, Miguel, for offering us coming on the podcast, offering us a lot of interesting information.
And for your time, your valuable time that you gave us and our listeners. And
I think it was really cool, and I think you also did a good job, guys. And thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure to share these little bits.
We hope our listeners will, come and learn more about the International House and make use of its resources. And this is a very good opportunity for a lot of internationals to.
Also, I would, for our listeners, please go on the International House website and please look at the programs and the opening hours. And if you have any queries or issues, you can directly come or contact them. And it would be really helpful, the work they are doing. And we should promote them to do more such work and achieve the gap that we are looking for, that we have been focusing on. And also, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/thirdipod. Also, as I've mentioned in every podcast, that this is a self-sustaining project where we rely heavily on our donations from our patrons. So if you like what we are doing, you can donate us through our website.
And if you like access to extra benefits such as early episodes and detailed list of our research, as well as uncut episodes, so you can see them before I make them more cohesive, you can support us on Patreon.
And stay tuned for our new episodes as we look at the world through